Right.
Oh yeah! It's this dude!
He is here for some reason.
I still don't remember his voice.
That's Detective Bad. But who is he with? I haven't seen that officer before.
So, did you find it?
No, not yet. And I've looked everywhere. Close enough.
I see. Well then, please continue with the search.
Understood. I'll continue the search. Switching between them is a pain. So you're the one running this show. Prosecutors like you shouldn't even be allowed at crime scenes.
Why do I get a weird sense of future deja vu? Anyway, how dare you? Just who do you think you are?
I'm not in here anymore.
What was that all about? And who was that man just now?
So we get blasts from the future in this flashback, and yet Edgeworth doesn't seem to remember any of them.
Because we never got his name. Whoever he was, I've never seen a more impudent officer in my life.
Whatever. Why is it 2 episodes in a row of Detective Bad?
That's a very good question. Does he even know that we're standing right behind him?
Damn. I look super good right now. I know you're standing right behind me. What do you want, kids?
It looks like you were paying attention after all.
Of course I am. I literally can see you in this mirror. Of course I was. I have eyes in the back of my head.
Damn.
It's called a mirror.
Ah, so that mirror isn't for vanity's sake.
It certainly is, actually.
It's for him to keep an eye out on who or what is behind him at all times. So tell me, Detective Bat, who was that rude man just now?
The guy came here from the Republic of Zhangfa to study. He's Agent Lang.
Oh, I did get his name.
He's trying everything he can to revive the lost honor of his family. He's traveling the world to study different philosophies of detainment from scratch.
He then fails to do that in the future and just focuses on his one study of it, or something.
By visiting various police departments around the world. He has a lot of dedication.
He's still just a rookie cop, but I sense a strong grudge of some sort from him. He's also better than you kids. The guy's more useful than Gumshoe, even if he is rude.
Be nice to Gummy.
Well, he sure has a lot of guts to come to this country and give prosecutors a hard time.
Yeah, because you prosecutors are treated like gods and the defense attorneys are treated like nothing. Ugh.
For some reason. I agree. Now I can think of one young lady that statement also applies to.
She's rude to everybody except children. And other women.
Anyway, what was that agent looking for, Detective Bad? Earlier, that little girl was poking around in lobby number 1 as well.
Like I said before, it's got nothing to do with the two of you.
I highly doubt that it has nothing to do with me.
Huh.
Fine. This is the game I must play, and I will take this opportunity to draw out what he's been hiding and what happened in this room straight from him. Basically...
I'd love to. Can I look at the TV?
That is one tiny TV. Tiny? Detective Gumshoe was rather shocked at this, and said it is huge compared to his own. Ha! Anything you compare with anything he owns will always seem grandiose. Speaking of grandiose, I said that ego of yours could use a little deflating.
She's a Von Karma. Their egos are too big.
Oh yeah.
The only ego that is bigger than a Von Karma is Seto Kaiba's.
Earlier, you were in lobby number 1, and now you're here in lobby number 2. You're quite a busy man, Detective Bad.
Multiple returns to a crime scene brings about success. That's what we detectives say.
I see. In that case, you wouldn't mind if I ask about what happened again, correct?
I don't have anything left to say to you, boy.
Boy, you'll see. I will draw my answer from you, one way or another.
Come on, let me just look in the VHS thingamabobbers.
But they kill you to help us even a tiny bit in our investigation.
Yes, I will certainly have a heart attack from that. I gave Faraday's notebook to the judge earlier. That's help enough, don't you think?
Please, we're asking for you just a bit more of your cooperation.
Don't push me, kid.
I'd like to ask once again about what happened around here at the time of the crime.
I refuse to answer. In other words, I plead the fifth. Any more investigating you do would be a waste of time. Besides, how am I supposed to answer questions about things I don't know about?
Things you don't know about? But aren't you supposed to know everything? He should. Wait, is it possible? Maybe he doesn't know about the trick behind that piece of evidence. I should try showing it to him. It proved to be the key to getting some answers from Detective Bad. Basically, that's telling us to show the key.
I don't know. Are you sure that's what they want us to do?
Yeah, who knows?
I mean, it wasn't that obvious.
Detective Bad, did you know of the existence of the item in this photograph?
Huh. Of course I did. It's my job to know everything related to the Yatagarasu case.
In that case, let me ask you something. Did you know that the knife that killed Mr. Faraday and this Yatagarasu's key are one and the same?
What? That's impossible!
It looks like he didn't know after all. This piece of evidence, which we call the Yatagarasu's key, is actually a well-camouflaged knife. Mr. Faraday was planning to use this Yatagarasu's key to prove that Mr. Rel was not the real Yatagarasu. Is that correct? Is that correct?
I guess so.
However, Mr. Faraday had no idea that it was, in fact, a knife.
Yeah, I have to admit, neither one of us knew that fact. And if neither of us knew, then no one in law enforcement knew either. Which means Gumshoe is safe. Damn it. How did we miss something as big as this?
I noticed that since a little while ago, you appeared to be searching for something. I presume that this key is what you were searching for.
Yeah, that's right.
And why were you searching for it?
Because I promised Faraday. I promised that I'd protect that key with my life. But after he was killed, the key disappeared from Faraday's evidence bag.
Well, I mean, it is a key, and it can unlock at least one thing. It can unlock someone's death.
Yeah, I suppose that's the truth.
Who would have thought that the key is what took Faraday's life?
See? It unlocked his death.
Detective Bad, so that we may find the truth, please testify for me once more.
All right.
But it doesn't matter how many times I tell you about what happened. Nothing will change. Unless for some reason you mention this VHS behind me.
Detective Bad, I ask that you please testify once more about what happened in lobby number 2 and what you experienced in lobby number 1.
My answer is still the same, and this is the last time I'm going to do this. Unless you convince me again in the future. Probably using my adoptive niece to do it, to convince me.
That's fine, because I only need this one last time to clear everything up.
Oh, good.
And find the truth behind this case. Here we go.
Ugh, I hate his voice so much.
I was in lobby number 1, talking with you. We were talking about some trivial things. I heard the gunshot right before the trial was about to reconvene. When we heard it, you and I immediately dashed out into the hallway together. I saw Gumshoe goofing around there, and then we all ran into lobby number 2.
I think I get what you was doing. You was keeping him occupied in there, so she had an alibi, obviously. That's why she was just talking about trivial things. She was just trying to buy time.
Until the videotape went to the specific point, bang.
Yep. It sounds like the exact same story he told us before. Indeed. However, I feel that we have yet to draw out all the information that we can. Which is a hint we to press.
Ugh. Fine. I regret making his voice this deep. I thought he'd only be here like for 5 minutes.
Why did Miss Hugh choose lobby number 1? Answer me!
Who knows? She just said that she had something she wanted to talk to me about. And we walked into lobby number 1 together. That's all.
His answer remains the same as before, I see. Trivial things.
Hold it!
I was hoping you could expand on what exactly you were discussing with Miss Hugh.
Trivial stuff. It was nothing important. I showed her a picture of my niece. My adorable niece.
I can see him as like a doting uncle. In private. In public, he's going to be his normal self, but in private, he'd probably be like a doting uncle.
Oh yeah, for certain. That's for me to decide. Alright, I suppose that's for him to decide. Moving on then.
Hold it!
Until you heard the gunshot, did you notice anything else that was out of the ordinary?
I didn't hear any other strange sounds until that gunshot.
If the gunshot that Detective Bad heard was really the one from the murder, that would give that other piece of evidence an entirely different meaning. I ask that you please amend your testimony with that statement just now.
Sure.
I didn't hear any other strange sounds.
Hold it!
Detective Bad, you honestly don't remember hearing anything else?
Yeah.
Is it possible you were so involved in your conversation that you missed something?
I've been a detective for a long time. And even if I were involved in something.
I've got quite the habit of keeping tabs on everything that goes on around me.
How old are you?
Next page.
53, so if we assume he is more competent than Gumshoe, he's probably been a detective for around 3 decades.
Yeah, basically. So he knows what he's doing.
If there had been some other strange sound, you can be sure I would have heard it.
I suppose with this detective, that's probably very likely.
So, the gunshot.
I think we need to go back to that because I think we can prove this is wrong. Or prove what's happening. Not
This
that.
doesn't say it was popped.
Hold it!
And why did the two of you dash out into the hallway straight away?
Because we clearly heard the sound of a gunshot, and we knew it came from somewhere nearby.
And how do you know that it was a gunshot?
Huh. In my line of work, you hear enough of them to know.
I suppose it's only natural for a detective to know what a real gunshot sounds like. Yeah, I don't
Seriously,
think
I would assume they have to practice at least weekly with their gun.
Yeah, I would imagine he would not mistake a balloon popping for a gunshot like the judge would.
But he said he didn't hear anything else, so he should have.
That is true.
But given the circumstance, the only person I could think of whose life would be in danger was Faraday's. That's why I ran out into the hallway right away and headed for where he was.
You know what? I'm just going to present the balloon here. Because while it doesn't say it, we know what happened.
Yeah?
Objection!
What, really? Okay.
I mean, we know there was a balloon popping.
Detective Bat, does this balloon fragment remind you of anything?
It's the same color as the one Kay was holding. I spent like $1 on that.
Oh, so you knew about that girl's balloon.
How couldn't he?
Yeah, I was sitting with her up in the gallery during the recess, just before we split up. I filled that balloon up for her.
Well, as you may have already surmised, this piece did indeed come from Kay's balloon.
You just have helium around here, dude? How did you fill up a balloon for her? Is there just a balloon thing nearby?
I guess you might have done it with his mouth.
But that's not going to make it float.
That's true, it's not helium.
Yeah, you need... Don't tell me he just carries helium with him.
Ah, that would be weird.
Oh, that's why his voice is so deep. It's because he used all of his natural helium to blow up that balloon.
Oh my god.
New headcanon. So, what about the balloon?
I wonder if you might remember hearing this balloon pop at some point.
What are you getting at?
This fragment was found in the hallway right in front of lobby number 2. Furthermore, it was the sound of this balloon popping that the judge mistook as a gunshot.
Oh? So the sound that the judge heard was not actually a gunshot, huh?
On top of that, his honor said that he heard the balloon pop about 20 minutes before the trial was to be convened. Yes, which means that his honor heard the balloon pop in the hallway. When you were in lobby number 1, Detective Bad, if you were in lobby number 1 at that time, you were close enough that you should have heard the balloon popping as well.
So?
What? Don't give me a so! It just proved that there's a flaw in your testimony.
The crackling of the truth is louder than the sound of your sweet naivete cracking. And since you kids don't seem to know, let me fill you in on something. Did you ever stop to think why the doors and walls of this place seem so rugged?
They're soundproof, aren't they?
That's because they were designed to keep secrets from being leaked.
Ah, what is that supposed to mean?
I just told you. The doors and walls are super thick. The window panes are double layered. To top it all off, even the curtains are made of a special sound-absorbing material.
Damn.
Then you mean...
Since I was shut up inside lobby number 1, there was no way I could have heard that sound.
Then how'd you hear the gunshot?
No! I knew that's what he was going to say. That means that Scarface's testimony... Scarface's testimony is completely useless! If the rooms are soundproof, then of course he wouldn't hear any sign of a struggle.
That's also why it's only natural that I didn't hear the balloon popping. Now, do you get it, kids?
Miles, I thought we were supposed to be the ones finding flaws in his logic, not the other way around. The other way around? It's not possible to hear the sound of a balloon popping if one were in lobby number 1. However, if we examine the situation in reverse, the person standing in the hallway should not be able to hear the real gunshot either. And yet Detective Gumshoe claims to have heard it while he was standing in the hallway. Detective Bat, if that is the case, how exactly did you hear the gunshot?
What do you mean, how? I just did.
It would appear that you have yet to realize the contradiction in your own words.
Oh? How so?
If the rooms were as soundproof as you say they are, then how did the sound of a gunshot enter your ears?
I see what you mean. I guess I'm more out of it from Faraday's murder than I had thought.
Which means what exactly, Miles? In the end, what does it all boil down to? It boils down to this. There must be a reason as to how Detective Bats and Detective Gumshoe heard a gunshot that they theoretically couldn't have.
I wonder, what could it possibly be?
Couldn't possibly be the waving curtain behind us. It looks like we need to examine the state of the crime scene again, huh? State of the crime scene. Wait, can it be?
It's the ultra-strong perfume you wears. She spilled some of it.
She spilled it to make an excuse to open the window.
Oh shit, you're right.
So she didn't just say, I want to open the window. No, she deliberately spilled something to seem less suspicious.
That makes a lot of sense. Holy crap, she's tricky. Holy shit. Ugh, way too noisy. It was set to extremely high volume. It's a surveillance video. How could the piece of evidence just disappear? Where did it go?
This is where we logic it up.
Yep. Lobby number 2 window, dissipating smell.
But this was in lobby number 1.
Ah, you're right. The first very loud television missing evidence?
I actually think it might be these two.
Ah, you might be right.
Because the window is open specifically to have the loud volume go.
But it does say the scent of flowers is in the air.
So do we do this then?
Possibly.
Like, we know what's going on here.
It's certainly not possible for the killer to have escaped through barred windows. And yet, the fragrance of the perfume managed to escape from defendant lobby number 1. Of course, incorporeal things can move freely through these open barred windows. The first very loud vision? Or very loud television in open windows. Because sound is incorporeal.
Is it?
Yeah. Now then.
What if I see the sound waves constantly coming out of my mouth?
Can you actually see the sound waves? If so, wow.
I'd be losing my mind.
Now then, what else besides the smell can go both in and out of an open barred window? The answer is sound. So no matter how careful the killer was, if the windows were open, the jig would be up. And since the windows in both the defendant lobby number 1 and the hallway were open, that explains how the sound of a gunshot could be heard in both locations. It originated from the missing evidence. The missing piece of evidence is a video that shows the moment in which Mr. Rell killed the embassy staff member. The sound of the gunshot left quite an impression on me when it was played during the trial. The video should have been returned to Mr. Faraday's evidence bag for the recess and brought back here. It disappeared after that time. Yet it's possible that the tape is still here in this room. Eureka! The evidence that the missing evidence created for me is the gunshot sound that no one should have been able to hear in the first place. Miles, what have you been thinking about? Stop wasting time thinking and let's start looking again. Not a waste of time to think. Why, I figured out where we should look. And where would that be?
The VHS player.
I believe we should examine the television.
The TV? Well, you kids have fun. Go ahead and examine whatever you like.
Begin investigation. Let's look at the VCR. It's a video player. There seems to be a videotape inside. Looks like it. The tape must have stopped on its own when it reaches the end. This tape, would it not be the missing surveillance tape? I suppose, but... Is that bad? Would it be alright if we verified the contents of this video?
Sure. Knock yourself out.
Alright, then let's rewind this and see what we have.
If I remember correctly, the footage of Rel killing the embassy staff member should be at about the 30 minutes mark from the start of the tape.
Understood. It should be about right. Now let's then see. This is the footage of Mr. Rel shooting the embassy staff member. I knew it. The missing piece of evidence, the surveillance video, was here all along.
Yay.
This sound. What's the meaning of this?
It appears that Detective Bad has figured out the true source of the gunshot he heard. With this, I think we can figure out the trick behind this double murder. Do you mean that you figured it all out, Sen?
We figured this out like a while ago.
Yep. Yes, all I have to do now is show what the gunshot detective's Bad and Gumshoe heard was. And through where they heard it from. Fine! In some case, show me what you've deduced! I have to show what the gunshot detective's Bad and Gumshoe heard was. And through where they heard it from. Nook and Granny.
This was through the medium and the source, right?
Yeah, the medium and the source.
Well, the medium is sound, so it would travel through the window.
Yeah? I'm
still going with the videotape. I will eventually get this right.
If the door and the windows to the crime scene, namely this room that we are in, were closed, the killer could have used a gun and no one would have been the wiser. That's true. This courthouse does seem to be well designed for such a thing, as it were. However, what happened in reality was, Detective Gumshoe, Detective Bad, and Miss Yu, all three of them heard the gunshot. Well, the windows in lobby number 1 and lobby number 2 and the hallway were open. And naturally, the people in those locations could hear it. Ah, but then why would the criminal open the window in the first place? To allow the gunshot to be heard, I suppose. Correct. That's the only logical conclusion we can draw from this. But why was that necessary in the first place? I want a real answer, Miles. I demand satisfaction. Very well. I believe that the killer wanted to manipulate our perception of a certain fact.
When it took place.
Yeah, when the crime took place. The killer wanted to fabricate a time of death to their precise wishes, and they used the gunshot in the surveillance video to do so. So that's why the tape was left running.
You mean the gunshot I heard was from this video?
Yes, which means that the murders really occurred at an earlier time than we thought. It must have been during the recess, but before Detective Gumshoe was on guard duty. Someone who has no alibi for that time period, and planned this crime out in advance. That person is the real killer.
That didn't take long.
Yay!
Mr. Edgeworth.
Yes, what is it?
Miss Yu is asking for you. She's in the courtroom. She says that she's identified the murderer, but that she wants to clarify something. Did she happen to look in a mirror?
It looks like Miss Yu is still investigating something. Understood. Please tell her that I will be right over.
I'll come along. I want to hear what she has to say.
It would appear that the time has come to uncover the truth.